5 grand. Oh! Jesus Christ. Hey guys, welcome back to JR14. Here I am with another video for you guys today, and today we're actually going to be reviewing my boy Quickspool's 2015 Audi S3. So the S3, there's cool things about it. There's some things that are interesting about it. So one of the interesting things about this platform, it's actually on the MQB platform. So if you guys are not aware of that, that shares with the GTI, the R, which pretty much this is basically your R sedan. It shares with Tiguan. All the new Volkswagens out now, all the new Volkswagen lineups are MQBs. So this actually falls in the same platform. The A3, the RS3, all falls under the same line. Now I know you guys have seen reviews on this car before, but this is pretty unique because it is modified. It does have a specific turbo that is on it that we're actually going to be talking about while we're in the car. Also does have some cool modifications, not so much that you can see, but more that you can dial in, if that makes any sense. Stock, the car does come with around 292 horsepower, 280 pound-feet of torque. Also, the car weighs about almost 3,500 pounds, 3,462 pounds to be exact, and it's a pretty good platform. Now, this is actually the pre-facelift. The pre-facelift was made from 2015 and 16. Once they hit the 17, they actually changed the rear bumper, the rear taillights, the front bumper, the front headlights, as well as some interior bits, and also the option with the virtual cockpit. This does not have the virtual cockpit, obviously, like I said, because it is a 2015 model, but it is still cool and unique in every way. What is the cool significant thing about the S3? One, it's a performance sedan. It's a 2-liter turbocharged all-wheel drive platform. It's not true all-wheel drive like the other Audis, for instance, A4s and up, but it is a Haldex system that is shared with the Golf R. So I believe it's up to 50% to both rear, up to 50% to the rear, to the wheel wheels. Obviously, if you do some modifications, you can get that a higher number to be extended to the rear Haldex system to make it more rear-wheel drive bias and front-wheel drive bias. I do love about the car. I love the way the car looks. Now, if you look at a traditional A3, the A3 does look good, but you can tell it's a basic platform. It's basic. There's just some things like I would add some things to it. There's just something missing. And I think with the S3, there's some things. For instance, the fenders, I believe, are a little wider. I know the RS3s are specifically, but for instance, there's these little cuts here that I really do like. I don't know if the A3s share that or not, but I just notice it more on an S3. Also, the actual body trim. So there are, you know, spoilers and stuff like side skirts and different bumper and front fascias and rear fascias that actually do make this car a little bit more performance oriented. You have not dual exhaust, quad tips out the exhaust and they are valved. The good thing I do like about this specific vehicle is one of the specific things that I do like about this vehicle is the amount of options that you can get. When this car was new, it was roughly mid $50,000 range. This car started at around, I believe, 48 to 49 grand when they were new. Obviously with options, which this car definitely does have options in it, probably bring that price up to, probably like around mid 50s. But now, obviously, you can get S3s for way cheaper than that, probably like around 28, 30 grand, depending on which model and what year you're looking for. Obviously, the newer years, 17s, 18s are going to be more expensive, and then obviously you can still get 15s and 16s, probably in that, like I said, the upper $20,000 range. So, like I can really compare this to I'm not trying to make this a comparison video, but there are some things that this car does share with the GTI. For instance, the motor. The motor is the E8 AAA platform, the Gen 3 motor that you would see in the GTI. Another variant of that is an R, and the R and the S3 share the exact same motor. Also, one of the other aesthetic modifications, the aesthetic features that come with this car, the creature comforts, is the sunroof. Now, I really do like the sunroof because it's not an all-glass roof, but once it's open, it's actually really wide. It's not like a normal cutout of a sunroof. So I really do love those features. I really do love the creature comforts. One thing that I wish that my GTI had that Audis are known for is the blind spot detection. It has these little yellow LED lights inside on the inside of the mirrors that shine on the inside of the cabin to let you know that there's someone in your blind spot. But one thing I really do like about that though, it doesn't just show cars in your blind spot. If you're doing 60 and someone's flying behind you, approaching in your blind spot, the system will let you know that someone is approaching at a high rate of speed, so this way you don't accidentally come up into the lane before they even get into your blind spot. So that's one thing I really do like. Now obviously this feature does, now the next feature on this specific car that obviously doesn't come with it doesn't come with this car, but one thing I really do appreciate is actually the VMR 701s. These are an 18 by 8.5 with a 35 offset, wrapped in some beautiful, wonderful, sticky Michelin Pilot Sport 4Ss. Now, obviously, it's now March. We're getting more into the spring months, so pretty much now it's going to be more of where we can have summer tires back on our cars and enjoy the season for the year. Another thing that I do love about the S3 and A3s is the body lines. So I know a lot of journalists talk about body lines, and it seems like they talk about it in every other car, but this car is kind of unique because it's curved, but it also has some really sharp edge body lines. Like for instance, this one right here that follows along the whole car all the way to the front headlight like that, and it's so distinctive that it kind of gives that car an aggressive look up top. But then also there's another line following on the very bottom of that, and this one on the bottom kind of definitely reminds me of the GTI, especially like right here, because we have something similar like that on our cars. Another thing about the S3 that's really, really cool, if you want a bang for your buck, luxury car, performance car, you don't want a hatchback style like the R, this is another variant, and that's kind of why Audi built it. Even though, you know, a lot of people say, even like people like Quickspool and myself are like, well, why would Audi make an S3 and an R? They're the same car. An R is a little bit cheaper than an S3, and you get more space in an R. Not everybody wants to drive a hatchback. A lot of people like to have a luxury car like an Audi. And again, it's just because of the fact that now you have this luxury sedan. It's small and compact, but it's also fun. Another thing about the S3, so the S3 actually compares with the, back in this time, it actually compared with the BMW M235, as well as the CLA, the CLA 250 with the A3 variant. This would actually compete against, in my opinion, would actually compete against the CLA 45. I think they kind of range in the same power bump around that range. I know the CLA makes more power, but as far as like 2-liter turbos, they fall into the same category of what they are, right? But I actually really do like this. I think that when it comes to packages, like small compact packages, that Audi really does it best, as well as Volkswagen, because the car is tiny, the car is a small car, but on the same factor of that, it's still it's a small car, yes, but also it's pretty practical in how it uses its space. All right, so we're in Quickspool's 2015 S3 pre-facelift. No virtual cockpit, wasn't offered, but it's Quickspool. So if you don't know Quickspool, let's just say this, he's a different breed when it comes to not keeping things stock, but just not like me. I'm very generic. Most everything on my car you can buy, meaning that you can go to integrated engineering. Well, not anymore. You can't get that short block anymore, but you can go to HR, get sway bars. You can go to BC Racing and get coilovers, and you can go to EQT and get a custom tune. But what he has done with this thing is absolutely it's not kind of wild, it's very wild. So right now he has me in dynamic mode. Car feels great, suspension feels great. It's a little firmer, but it doesn't feel bad at all. It's very comfortable to drive. I'm sure you can hear a little bit of tire noise. It's typical because we do have which VMRs are these? Which version wheels do you know?
It's 701s.
701s,
yeah.
And they're 18 by
8.5.
8.5. Okay.
35 offset.
35 offset. That's usually the Audi Volkswagen go-to when it comes to like like for stock body size. But he just does that for tasteful mods. He's not really in cosmetics like that, but because his last car that he had, which was a Mark 6 GTI. Now I see Mark 6 GTIs all of the time, and I always was attracted to his. It was his. What was the color of what was the exterior color?
Shadow. What is it called?
Shadow Blue.
Shadow Blue?
Yeah, Shadow
Okay.
Blue Metallic. Yeah.
One of my other buddies, Baiwu, Brandon, if you're watching this, awesome car. He has the same color. I've never seen a car with this color scheme before, and it was absolutely fantastic. It looks beautiful. When it's clean, it looks beautiful, and Quickspool obviously always takes care of his paint and his cars. He also had these beautiful Porsche calipers on it, so the yellow calipers that I wanted, that I knew probably didn't fit on my car, which is why I didn't buy it. Looked really popped, and the wheels that he had, and the whole setup, it was very simple and tasteful. But when you put your foot down is when the party started, and that is what Quickspool normally spends and spends a lot of his time and attention. So Quickspool really focuses on the performance. Now I'm not even on it like that. You don't even understand. I'm not punching it. And I was already at speeds that I shouldn't be in Mexico. You know, I was at these crazy speeds already. All you have to do is roll your foot in it. And I'm in sport mode, and I'm in S5 right now. I'm in 5th gear in sport mode, and I just gently gave it a little squeeze, and interesting for mid-range. And I think, you know, even with the S3 with my GTI, like, that's what these cars are really, that's where they really shine, is the mid-range. If you get the correct turbo setup, and if you get the correct tuning setup with it, with fueling and everything else. If you can get that dialed in correctly, then you can really have a monster in the mid-range. These cars, I mean, obviously, I don't know if you want to talk about your turbo, but
it's
yeah, what's the turbo setup on here?
It's a Mamba Tech 2971. So basically like a GTX 2971, but it's not a bar bear. It's a journal bear.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the millimeter on it?
It's essentially a 5371 compressor and a 5854 turbine.
Okay, gotcha. But it has a meaty mid-range. Like, I'm always like, now I'm in S6. This is a 6-speed DSG. The later S3s were 7-speed dual clutches, and then obviously it was pushed down to the Mark 7.5Rs for the 7 speeds. But this setup with this turbo, and he's done fueling, and he's running E in the car. So just to give you a quick caveat, when my car broke down, obviously, Quickspool came to get me, and he told me, he's like, I want you to get these 4 rings one day. He said, one day I want you to get these 4 rings. And I'm like, it's the same car. Why would I do that? And he's like, drive it. Drive it how you would drive it. And I'm like, you sure about that? He's like, yeah, drive it. And I was happy. I was like, wow, this is much more. So my GTI likes to fight the wheel a little bit because it's front wheel drive, and mine does have the limited slip differential, but it still likes to move around. When I launched the car, I'm roasting the front tires in first. Second gear is kind of useless as well. But in this, you know, second gear, you're gone. Third gear, you're gone. There's no drama. It just goes. And to experience all of that power on the ground, to just go and not cause any drama, is a different ball game than having a car that'll do 11s down the road and then eventually catch its traction. Because you had a Mark 6 before, so you kind of like, it's kind of like, all right. And then you realize when you can, and it's Mark 6 too, because I've never experienced a Mark 6 on top speeds before. And usually, in a normal world, Mark 6s wouldn't be able to keep up with Mark 7s up top. But this one was keeping up with the Mark 7 up top, and I'm like, wow, okay. And it surprised me. But I really wanted to take this car on the highway. Like I said, it's very comfortable right now. It's very smooth. You don't hear a lot of cabin noise. Obviously, it's an Audi. You're not supposed to hear a lot of cabin noise. So, for instance, you hear certain noises, like you hear a little bit of exhaust noise. You hear turbo noise. You know, you hear these certain things, and you kind of know it's not stock, but stockish. And that's kind of what I like about Quickspool's setups, is that it's stockish, but it will take you to town when you have a little fun in it. Now I'm gonna get out of the way for a second, and I'm just gonna squeeze it a little bit because traffic's opening it up a little bit. So I'll slow down a little bit. So that about be the best thing to do is just to slow down, give a little space. All right, so just slapped it in the manual mode. It's in. All right. Oh boy. And then we'll do it from third and go. Yep. Okay. That was good. That was. There is a delay and lag a little bit. Probably because I wasn't in the right gear. The right gear probably would have been second. But literally the rolling and then that power just to punch you like that. It's pretty interesting.
Also, the timing is down.
The timing's down.
That's why I didn't. Yeah,
that's why I did that.
The computer's out, so I can't get it.
He's the master. So he did his own tune. He did his own configuration and stuff like that. First of all, like stuff what you look for in tunes, like what's some things you look for? Drivability is majority of it, because you main people that tune their cars they're daily drivers, right? They're off the shelf maps. This right now, driving it for about 10 miles, has been great. In manual mode, sport mode, comfort mode, it doesn't matter. Like it's always been pretty good. But and then also that is stupid. That's dumb. Right? That is stupid.
Get over the next exit.
But this plays a really nice fine line between drivability and comfort versus performance. We're in sport.
All the bird down. You get it?
$5,000. Oh! Jesus Christ.
You overheat the trans.
I overheated the transmission.
Or get an oil cooler for the trans. So
Okay.
I'm thinking of actually trying to get a USRT plate and making my own custom.
So do you think we should try that again? Screw it. There's nobody behind me, and this is a pretty good sign. So you said, put on the brake.
On the brake.
All right, I'm on the brake. All right.
Let go.
Transmission overheat. That wasn't me. Jesus Christ. Oh, it gave me a
So I have
headache.
to readjust it. No, so we're going left.
Going here.
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure. Okay. Go up?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It's a nice neighborhood.
Yeah,
So, you know.
that gave me a headache. All right, so I want to just get into these twisties just a little bit. Give me some quick space, because then we didn't talk about handling. Oh yeah. Oh, she's a hugger. Yeah, she's like that woman, and she's like, I just love to give hugs. Brakes are good. So the brakes are actually like just OEM brakes, right? So the S3 does share the brakes with the Golf R, which means that they share the brakes with also the GTI performance package cars. But I think when we're at a light, I think it's good to talk about like what are the modifications that are on this thing?
Stock motor, stock trans. The trans is the Uridine Stage 3 flash. The ECM is custom.
Who being
Uridine by me.
No, who being stupid?
I think over there.
Oh, that's smart.
Oh, he's saying like.
Jesus Christ. Yo, and he's just like, I want you to get these S4s, I want you to get an S3, and then literally an S4s. Oh yeah. Even the hops, it really keeps itself. Oh yeah. Yep. Yep, like even the dips and stuff like that, it keeps itself really composed. Yes, that was a good piece.
Dude.
But this is nice.
Prove to me that you can't drive.
But sorry, so we got distracted with the guy on the S4.
Yeah.
And so what mods are in this car?
Cruise for a bit, and then we pick it up later.
Yeah, let's cruise. We need to cruise.
We need to, calm down. Happy
For
feet.
sure. Relax.
He's happy feet over here.
Yeah.
So it's a stock motor. As I said before, or after, depending on where this comes in, it's a 2971 Mambatech. It has 980 cc's MPI injector. It's the Mark 7 Euro R rail, custom. Everything is custom put together. Like I sourced all the parts separately.
Okay.
I use a PRW harness because they're the only people that sells the harness separately. No one else sells you that harness.
Okay.
I have a surge tank AEM inline 400, which is fed from the stock S3 pump. So essentially, I'm just using the stock pump just to lift the pump out of the gas tank.
Okay, gotcha.
Just feed it to that pump, and that pump could flow an insane amount of fuel.
Gotcha.
Like a ridiculous amount of fuel. So I'm not short for fuel at any point in time. Basic run-of-the-mill charge pipes. It does have a custom meth kit that is currently it's not on at the moment, but I'll try to get that on the next time you drive the car.
Okay.
Yeah, but what else? Most of my other, because I'm more performance oriented, so Bilstein's I think it's PS14 or 16 coils.
Okay. Just to hold off on that, like while we're on these back roads, again, these elevations up and down, the divots, the curves, handles very well. Like, and it's not jarring. Like, there's stiff suspension that'll do the job, but to have a suspension that's comfortable and to do what this does at normal speeds, at cruising speeds, or even at a high rated speed, it's pretty. I think, in my opinion, it feels pretty good.
It's surprising to me because I just came off of stock struts and EMD springs, and that. But my struts were dead. But yeah, it wasn't a fun time. So this I really do like in the passenger seat as well as the driver's seat.
Okay.
I think I have a. Not I think I do have a white line upgraded rear sway bar. The front is stock because it's no matter how anyone puts it, it's a front wheel drive bias car.
Right.
So, and being a sedan that has an overhang, you kind of want the rear of the car to rotate.
Right. Of course.
Yeah. So with a GTI, you would do both to try to balance it out.
Right.
But on a sedan with an overhang, you need that tail to come around as fast as possible.
Right, of course.
You're gonna be pushing out. So I have that sway bar in the back. The rear subframe has poly bushings.
Okay.
The diff bushings are in there as well. So
okay, so you got some stiffness.
Yeah, everything back there moves as one, or doesn't move. Period. What else is on the car?
You know when you try to say it, it's just like it's a lot, and you always forget something.
There's an ECS intercooler kit.
Okay.
Which does not fit on an S3. It doesn't fit, but one is on here. I'm just gonna leave
leave it at that.
We're just gonna leave it at that. It doesn't fit the S3, but we're just gonna leave it at it's. I have one. I'm running. They make them for the Golfs and the Jeep and the R's.
Okay, I can understand why I probably wouldn't.
It doesn't fit the
S3.
The S3, but I have one installed.
Okay.
Yeah. Take that financial burden again.
No, I trust me, and I know about the fight. I know about the burden, and I've taken burdens too, so I know where you're coming from with that as far as feeling it. But for sure, you know, with this you know, with this, there's a lot that you learned from your last car. And I mean, obviously changing I mean, you didn't change platform, you just upgraded your platform basically. And it's and like where Volkswagen has come from the previous generation to now, even though this is Audi, but it doesn't matter.
It's called a Volkswagen. It's called what it is.
Exactly.
It's a Volkswagen.
It's a Volkswagen.
It's a Volkswagen.
You know, but what they have changed in this platform and the MQB platform is just phenomenal. What this 2-liter turbo can do. It really much so.
The 2-liter turbo and that DSG.
Yeah.
It's soulless. Don't get me wrong. Has no soul.
Really? You think so?
Yeah.
No. It's unique in its own way.
Yeah,
I think
it is unique in its own way. Like, don't get me wrong. This car is outright blast of a fun car to have. But coming from the blue car to this, I'm left like,
it's
oh
okay.
my
So I agree with
gosh.
you on that. Okay, so making that point. That's why I said, like, there's a lot of times where obviously you guys know about my GTI breaking down all the time, and I'm just like, man, maybe I'm just done. But I will be stupid if I got rid of that car, because then I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna miss that craziness, that fun out of it. Yeah, it's extremely loud, but it's the GTI still sounds like that though. So it's kind of like, I go to car shows all the time, I go to tracks all the time. I went up to Canada and I raced, and people were just like, what exhaust is that? There's no other GTI that sounds like that. It's so, you know, and just rolling through the gears and just like really feeling the power when you have to man shift everything and you have to deal with everything like on your own. I get it. So I kind of understand, but having that and this would kind of like
it would fill the needs.
It would fill the needs.
Yeah. You have one for your, hey baby, you want to go out tonight to?
Yeah, she'll appreciate it because it's a luxury car.
Yeah, she'll appreciate. She'll appreciate it up until you put your feet down.
And it does make a heck of a difference, because I'm really, man, it's just all together. The tires, the car, the power, the feeling, that is, oh wow, okay, that's how fast I'm going. But literally, sometimes like you gotta be careful, you gotta continue looking down, because you really, you sometimes really don't know how fast you're going.
That is what I hate about this car. Because with the Mark 6, right, the older platform, because everything shook, everything made a noise, you felt everything. Like, I could be in the GTI and I'd be like, okay, I'm doing 100.
Right.
This, it's like, what, 120?
It doesn't feel like
where are the cops? Like, where are the cops? Like, it's like you instantly have to check to make sure like no one's chasing you.
Right.
That's why I say it's soulless.
Yeah.
Outside of doing like a drag race, you don't ever get the sensation of, okay, you're in something that that you truly shouldn't be in.
Right. Like
you truly should
like prime example, like I'm used to this car. I'm like, okay, it's an Audi. I know it's quick spool's car, but again, it looks very deceiving, because it's kind of like, okay, you get in this car, and I drove it once already, and he didn't even show me what he did or added other fuel and whatever he did to make me drive it now. And I'm just like, bro, like, this is a completely different car than when I drove it before. And I only drove it a month ago. I didn't drive it, and he said he only changed fuel from when I drove it last time. I drove it this time. There's a Mark 7 right up there. But for what this car actually is, it's for me anyway, I really do enjoy it. I think it's really a good point in between luxury but performance, and then adding your touches to it, doing what you can do with it. I think it's very remarkable. Not too much, not too crazy, just enough, because you can get this car to make dumb numbers. Yeah. Like if you got the money, IROS Motorsport, prime example. But you gotta have money.
Just come out the pocket. Just
right. Okay, run the card. Take my money.
But it's IROS. It's quality work.
100%.
Quality work. But
100%.
then it's like, for me, it's like, for for someone living in New York City,
this is enough.
anything past 450 is pointless.
Right. You're not going to use that.
It becomes pointless because it's like,
where can you use that power at?
if you're not looking out for cops,
right,
you're looking out for pedestrians.
Yep.
If you're not looking out for pedestrians, you're looking out for
taxi
people.
cabs.
Yeah.
Because they're everywhere, and I'm not just talking about yellow cabs. It's Ubers. The Ubers are the worst.
Yeah.
I think Ubers have taken the cake.
Yeah.
From used to be yellow taxi cab drivers that used to be the worst. I think now it's little Uber drivers.
Yeah.
It's any car that's black with a TLC license plate, and I'm just like, well, why are you driving like that? I love this thing. To really be honest with you, would I buy it? Absolutely. For myself, if I would buy one, I was really set on an S4. I still want an S4, but this kind of made that decision a little difficult compared to like what I would want, because what I would want is this. Nothing too wild, not built to the moon, still stock block, bolt-ons, a little bit of secret sauce magic work, and it's fast, it's quick, it gets the job done, it's comfortable, it's still luxurious, you can still go out to dinner. It's not automatic, it's dual clutch. I don't like to use the word automatic. Dual clutch. It's a dual clutch trans, and
yeah, the Mark 7 group gets very upset about that. Like, no, it's a manual gearbox with like,
when I first got my Mark 7, I made sure to get a manual. Obviously, not just because of like the people, what they would think, but also I never really owned a manual car, so I kind of wanted to get that experience of owning. I wanted to get that out of my system before I got too old. So I was just like, all right, cool. I want to get a manual car and enjoy it. I love the manual car, but what these can do, man, and I'm not talking about like a Triptronic system in an automatic or a 10-speed automatic. Even a ZF is not a bad trans, and how many platforms that trans is in, and variations of it, like a Hellcat version of that ZF is not the same as one in like a BMW. Even in new BMWs, the G80 is now. It's not is a ZF. It's not automatic. It's not a traditional dual clutch anymore. And I think the reason for that is because maybe they're getting a little too expensive. It's too expensive to maintain or stuff like that. And when you can have a conventional automatic that just requires a service versus, clutches,
mechatronics.
Yeah, that's what I wanted. I didn't know the word. You knew the word. So the Golf R, and I always said this, the Golf R. Oh, and people are just like, oh, why are you saying that about Golf? I never said a Golf R was a bad car. It doesn't make sense to buy one new. The price on an R would roughly be a new R, a Mark 7.5 R off the lot today with DSG is like 46 grand, and I'm like, who's paying that? I'm like, we're almost talking, I could get one of these for 30 grand, and it's an Audi. It's the same stuff.
right.
It's creature comforts. I get the sunroof. I got the all-wheel drive. It's the same tuning stuff that you can do with them. They share platform. So I'm just like, why would I do that? Now, I think an R used for, I bought my GTI for like $30,600 new with taxes out the door, which was a steal for that trim car. And I was just like, all right, cool, no problem. I didn't have to wait for it. It was already at the dealership, so that was perfect for me. But for one of these, for what you can get them for, I think it's an extremely great value. And I think people are starting to realize that now. You don't see a lot of R's until you go to a Volkswagen show. Like, you don't see a lot of, I see R's every once in a while. You see GTIs all over the place.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing also with the S3. You don't see a lot of S3s, but you see a lot of A3s.
Alright guys, well that's going to conclude this video of the 2015 Audi S3. I hope that you did like this video. It's good to be back doing car reviews. There's definitely going to be more coming up very soon. If you did like this video, make sure that you give this video a thumbs up, please. While you're doing that, giving this video a thumbs up, make sure that you click subscribe to JR14. And also while you're doing that, make sure you hit the notification bell so you can get post notifications on videos that I put out on every Sunday at 12 p.m. Eastern time. And you guys always remember, when we drive our favorite German greats, you guys always remember that cars are a lifestyle.